I watched Ivory Coast play against Germany. They lost because they lacked confidence. They didn't believe that they can win. People migrate from here to foreign countries and become the best over there. But when they are here, they are below par. In Libya, black people are being auctioned and sold into slavery. That is an unimaginable development. You will see videos of South Africans breaking into Nigerian shops and looting the shops. Why is this happening? Our situation is not hopeless. We have the capacity to start plants that generate electricity right at the point where we have gas. Who would have believed that it is possible for a Nigerian company to have the largest petroleum refinery in the world? It is not just to point out our problems, it's to talk about our solutions. I, Dr. Cesar Iyayi, I have the solution. Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Cesar Iyayi. I am your advocate for the industrialization of the African continent, a process that I believe should begin in Nigeria. Today, I want to point out that the population of Nigeria is 250 million people. By the year 2036, that is about 10 years from now, it will be 300 million people. Now, as we speak in 2026, we have more than 70% of our youths that are unemployed. That is why you see them running to foreign countries. Are you aware that today in Libya, black people are being auctioned and sold into slavery? That is an unimaginable development. Today, as I speak to you, you will see videos of South Africans breaking into Nigerian shops and looting the shops. Why is this happening? It is happening because Nigeria is not an industrialized country. We do not produce what we consume. And the only thing that we produce is exported as commodities. I understand that even Dangote has to import petroleum crude in order for him to be able to run his refinery. He imports from America and then produce quality products and export to America. That is one of the reasons why Nigeria is having some measure of stability today. What I want to point out is that it is not just to point out our problems, it's to talk about our solutions. I, Dr. Cesar Iyayi, I have the solution. And it is something that governments should participate in, not to be the ones doing the investment, not to have a company like Ajakuta or Alaja Steel Complex that was owned by government that we know will never be able to function because of our cultural problems. We as black people believe that our personal interest comes first as compared to the group interest. We lack confidence in ourselves. All the products that we consume in Nigeria can be made in Nigeria. We have something that God has given to us, oil and natural gas. We have another thing that God has given to us, a large population that is very, very committed and very, very serious in terms of diligence and hard work. Our people migrate from here to foreign countries and become the best over there. But when they are here, they are below par because we have not been able to create an atmosphere where we can compete with the rest of the world. I want to put it to people in government. I want to put it to President Tinubu that there should be some measure of investment in industrial manufacturing. And that cannot be possible unless we do the first thing, which is to be able to generate electricity. I am not talking about producing electricity that will put in the national grid. We already have 15,000 capacity, but only about 3,000 to 4,000 that is functional. What I am talking about, which I alluded to in my last podcast, is that there is a way forward. Our situation is not hopeless. We have the capacity to start plants that generate electricity right at the point where we have gas. It is the duty of government to make that gas available at a very inexpensive rate so that electricity can be generated right at the point where we have gas. A place like Oben in Edo State, which is just about 85 kilometers away from Benin City. A place that is in Imo State, which is just about 25 kilometers from Owerri and about 60 kilometers from Aba. If you have the capability to start one or two plants like that can generate maybe about 500 megawatts or 1,000 megawatts of electricity, it is possible. The gas field that is there is owned by the Nigerian government. Even if it is managed by foreign companies, there is a way we will be able to have an agreement with them. We can even sink our own gas well. The gas belongs to us. And under Nigerian management, who would have believed that it is possible for a Nigerian company to have the largest petroleum refinery in the world? Who would have thought that it is possible for a Nigerian to be able to import petroleum crude and produce all the products that can add value? Today, because Dangote is producing all these products, producing liquefied petroleum gas, producing petrol, producing aviation fuel, which is kerosene, producing diesel, producing naphtha, which is the feedstock for all petrochemicals that can produce, whether you call it polypropylene or polyethylene, all the plastics. We have gas that we can use to produce all the fertilizers, explosives. We have all these things at our disposal. And that is the way we can create jobs. We need to create enough jobs for our people. And the way to do it is to establish manufacturing plants that is supported 24/7 by a gas turbine that produces electricity 24/7 at Oben, at the place in Imo where gas is produced. Don't pipe it anywhere yet in the short run. We want to prove at this initial stage that we can do something within 3 years that can generate revenue. We need to add value to raw material the way Dangote is adding value to raw material in crude, the way it's adding value to raw material in natural gas, which is maintained. Now he's producing fertilizer, which can be exported and can be consumed in Nigeria here, yielding foreign exchange. Why can't we have 100 Dangotes? Why can't we have 1,000 Dangotes? Dangotes right now is a monopoly. It's a problem with monopoly. It's not because the person is bad, it is because he's in a comfort zone. He's the only one producing it. So his prices will be high. When there's competition, the consumer gets the best prices. And that should be the aim of government. The function of government is to protect life and property. The second function is to create an enabling environment for economic activities and manufacturing to prosper. We need that intervention right now. And government is the catalyst at the epic center, ground zero of the idea of creating development in Nigeria. The way things are done now, we are exporting gas as liquefied natural gas. It is selling everything on the cheap. There is no country in the world that has been able to raise the standard of living of its country by just exporting commodities. None. Russia has all the commodities and it's one of the poorest countries in the world among the industrialized countries. All they know how to make is nuclear weapon. Anything else is to export commodities. Whereas they have the technology to do all these things. What I'm talking about is this. If we can have a situation where all the governors, including the Federal Capital Territory, can start thinking of a way they can generate income from their entrepreneurs that we invest in the South-South through the leverage of government dealing with governments in the South-South, states like Ondo, Edo State, Delta State, Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Imo State, where you have gas. If all the states' governors can come here and make a deal and start a plant that is generating electricity, each state should have its own corridor where goods can be manufactured. It is possible because once you have electricity, what comes next is the factory that can produce products. Once you have the factory that can produce products, what comes next? The expatriates that can run the factory and teach our people how to manufacture things. There are so many things. Anything that we consume in Nigeria, just imagine it, can be produced here in Nigeria. It's just for us to start thinking about it. I watched Ivory Coast play against Germany yesterday. They lost because they lacked confidence. They didn't believe that they can win. Even when they were ahead by a lone goal, they still didn't believe that they can win. And the Germans, they said, how can an African team defeat them? They kept pressing forward. They didn't believe that it is possible for an African team to defeat them. They kept pushing forward. And that is how they equalized. They believed that it would be a disgrace for them to have a draw with an African team. They kept pushing forward. And one of our players was sleeping on a password. They said to move forward and the man will be upside. They got the second goal and they got their wish because they were resilient. They were determined. That is what is lacking here in Africa. We don't believe in ourselves. I want all leaders in Africa. I want President Tinubu to believe that we can do things, to believe that it is possible for Nigeria to be an industrialized country, because God has given us the raw material, God has given us a large population, God has given us a working force that is very strong and determined. No other working force in the whole of the world that can compete with us in terms of sagacity and tenacity. We have everything. I know that because I run factories. I see our people that are so determined and they work very hard. They work 12 hours non-stop and they are happy doing it. But the return in terms of payment is very poor. That is why people run away from Nigeria. We can make things happen here in Nigeria. What will you be remembered for as a president if you serve this country as a president and you are not able to create industrial manufacturing? You say, oh, I did one highway, I did one school here. That is not an achievement. An achievement is when you are able to encourage the private sector by providing the enabling environment, create an atmosphere where entrepreneurs will start manufacturing finished products that will consume here in Nigeria and export. Then government can make money from taxes. A lot of money can be made from taxes. But the way things are now, even when you stress on taxes, people cannot afford it. Or you are going to create a situation where people become so despondent that there will be robbery and kidnapping and unrest everywhere in Nigeria. Everything is up to you as a president. I've said it before, that democracy is the worst form of government. Look at us now. For the past 9 months, all we have been talking about is how to do the next election. We are going to spend 850 billion naira to conduct, for INEC to conduct election. If you had one party, call it APC, for example, as a party, there's a way you can discuss with your people and amend the constitution and have only one party. Within the party, you decide who is the president, who is the governor. You don't have to spend all this money. You don't have to worry about the next 4 years. I don't care if you are there for the next 20 years. I want industrial manufacturing. We want industrial development. That is what we need, not democracy. We need for our people to be able to work and earn respectable remuneration for their labor so they can have a good standard of living. We can create a middle class where Nigeria can be a strong country, where we can move from 350 or 300 billion economy to 2 trillion. That can happen within 3 years. Today we have Chinese. They are producing glass from sand in Nigeria. They are producing finished products like ties from our clay in Nigeria. If you had a petrochemical plant the way Dangote is having it now, you can have the compound that you can use to glaze the ties, and you have a finished product made in Nigeria by Nigerians. The ones that they are making now are being made by Chinese. They pay our workers minimum wage, and all the profit is repatriated to their country. It is natural. That is the way life is. You are giving jobs to Lebanese, you are giving to Indians, all the profits are being repatriated to their own country. Give it to Nigerians. Encourage Nigerians to start producing finished products, and you will see that within a short spell, Nigeria will start to rise. It is possible for Nigeria to rise. The only way that can happen is to have a combined cycle plant that can generate electricity right where you have the gas plant. I don't see any difficulty in constructing a road, a dual carriageway from Benin City to Obe, when you have the gas. Set up a factory there. A new city will develop there. We'll start manufacturing multiple products, finished products from raw material. And when we start doing that, because the difference between raw material and finished products is so humongous, factories will have the capability to pay their workers more. It is possible for minimum wage, when you convert it from dollar to naira, to be like 1 million naira. It is possible, because when you add value to raw material, the value that you are going to sell it for is so huge that you have enough money to compensate your workers. That was what Henry Ford did when he was producing cars in Detroit. So he increased the salary of his workers so they can buy the cars. And that was how the middle class started in America. Nothing is magic. Nothing is spiritual. Everything is a matter of science. STEM. STEM.